Just a reminder to vote in this week's Locals poll, where you decide what deck I take to Locals every single week. Without any further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and today we have the deck profile for the deck we took to Locals this past week, being Battlewasp. We did okay. We went 1-2. We played 3 rounds. And honestly, the deck did probably about as good as I figured it would, considering the lack of support. However, just this morning, we actually had new support announced in Rage of the Abyss, so I'm very excited about that. And so I'll definitely have to bring this deck back to Locals once we get that new support later this year. And then just as a disclaimer, I'm also still just having to hold the camera in one hand and move the cards with the other, so it's going to be a little awkward just because we still haven't moved yet and everything's packed up. So yeah, here's a cut to what it looks like on paper, then we'll get to the card by card. Okay, so the first monster actually isn't a Battlewasp monster by name, but it is a good generic wind insect support monster. And so this is Humongous Hive Hegemon Zex Stagger. And I had to do that because I could have sworn I had 2. But when I actually put the deck together, it turns out I only had 1. And no one at the shop had a spare one. So I just had to do that for now. But it's a level 8 wind insect. And basically, whenever an insect is special summoned, you can special summon it from your hand. And it's a monster reborn for an insect during each end phase. So yeah, that's really nice. Just being able to, set up some of your plays, being able to recur things like your tuners. So yeah, that's really nice. Next, 3 copies of Battlewasp Arbalest, the Rapid Fire. So this one is a level 4. It also serves to reborn the tuner. And then if it gets destroyed, you can special summon any Battlewasp monster from your hand or deck. So it has kind of a twofold use there. Next, we are running 3 copies of Flying Kamakiri #1. And that is a first edition Magic Ruler Flying Kamakiri #1. So that's kind of cool. This is from a structure deck. But anyways, so basically this one is a battle recruiter. If it gets destroyed, you special summon a wind monster with 1500 less attack from your deck in attack position. So this is good for A, thinning out your deck, but then also once your opponent has killed all 3 of these guys, then you can summon your tuner to get a search and then set up your plays for the next turn. Next, 3 copies of Battlewasp Twin Bow the Attacker. This one is an extender. You can just special summon it from your hand during your main phase. Only thing is that it locks you into insects, but that's not gonna matter in this deck. And then it can make a second attack during the battle phase, but usually you're not going to be attacking with this. You're going to be using it as material for your Synchros. Next, 3 copies of Battlewasp Sting the Poison. So this is the tuner. It's currently the only tuner in the deck. Only tuner in the archetype, I should say. If it's summoned, you can add a Battlewasp monster from deck to your hand, and then as a quick effect, you contribute a different insect monster to target and negate an opponent's monster. So that's really nice, being able to potentially interrupt your opponent. But like I said, normally you're going to be using it for the Synchro summons. Next, as another extender, we have Battlewasp Pin the Bullseye. So running 3 of this one because we want as many Battlewasp names as possible. Then, as I said before, this one's an extender. As long as you control an insect monster on your field, you can special summon them from your hand. And then during your main phase, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each copy of this on your field. So I actually used this in Game 1 against Dark Magician to win the game. Because I almost OTK'd him, because I went second. I almost OTK'd him. I inflicted 7,800 damage. And then during my next turn, I got this guy and then just burned him for 200 to end game 1. So that was kind of funny. Next, Battlewasp Dart the Hunter. So this is another level 1. This one you don't normally summon. It does have an effect on field, though, where you can target a Battlewasp that you control, and it's treated as a tuner for the rest of the turn. So that's nice with some flexibility there. But the main thing is for its in-hand effect. When your Battlewasp monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can discard this card to inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's attack points. So it's just a way to inflict massive burn damage to try to OTK. That's kind of what the deck does. Okay, next we're moving on to the spells. Running 3 copies of Revival Swarm. And same thing happened with this as with Zek Stagger. I thought I had 3, but when I actually put the deck together, it turns out I only had 2. And no one else had an extra one, so that's sad. So I'll have to get one somewhere. But anyways, so this is a Monster Reborn for Battlewasps. And then you can also banish it from your graveyard to protect a Battlewasp from being destroyed by battle or card effect until the end of the next turn. So that helps with just, trying to maintain your board, making it to where you don't have to worry about it getting cleared by anything, so you can try to finish the rest of the game. And then the actual activation of Revival Swarm is not a once per turn, only the protection effect is. So you can actually activate multiples of these in a turn. Next, 3 copies of Summoning Swarm. So this one is kind of like Soul Charge a little bit. So you target level 4 lower Battlewasps in your graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls and special summon them. So it's kind of like a Soul Charge, but it depends on how many monsters your opponent has. But even then, if you're trying to OTK, make a bunch of Synchros, that's usually not an issue because you want to go second. Next, going to some of the more generic insect support cards. I'm also running 2 copies of Insect Imitation. So you tribute a monster to an insect from your deck that's 1 level higher. So that's good with level modulation, trying to get your Synchro set up. I'm also running 2 copies of Verdant Sanctuary. So this one is a continuous spell. When an insect is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to search an insect monster with the same level. So this is just a way to keep your resources live all the time, and helps add consistency, again, by just being able to keep those resources in circulation. Next, going on to the generic cards. I'm running 1 Pot of Avarice because it is kind of more of a combo-y deck. So, you can use this to get some of your resources back into the deck and draw 2. 1 Monster Reborn just for extra graveyard utilization. 1 for 1, just so that way we can special summon a level 1 insect out of the deck. 1 Call by the Grave to combat hand traps. 1 Reasoning because all these guys are different levels. And then I'm also running 2 copies of Twin Twisters, because this deck is very normal summon reliant, mainly regarding Sting the Poison. So being able to clear any problematic back row like Solemns or anything is very nice. And then that's going to be it for the spells. So then going on to the traps, we only have 1 name, which is 3 copies of Battlewasp Nest. When your Battlewasp monster is targeted for an attack, you special summon a Battlewasp from your hand or deck, and if you do, place a counter on this card, then end the battle phase. And then if it has 2 or more counters during the end phase of the turn, then it gets sent to the graveyard. But yeah, this is, again, kind of in conjunction with Revival Swarm, just trying to be able to not die, so that way you can try to finish your opponent the next turn with massive battle and effect damage. So that's it for the main deck. Now we're going to go to the extra deck. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Shinobi Insect Hagakuramino. Honestly, you don't really summon this one. It's just there to fill space, not going to lie. That's kind of all it does, so I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. Next is Great Fly. So this is a Link 2. And it just takes 2 wind monsters to make. It boosts all wind monsters on the field by 500 attack and defense. Then it also decreases earth monsters, but that's not really going to come up all that much. And then if it's destroyed, you get to add a wind monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So this is just good for, again, just trying to push for massive battle damage, which also facilitates the effect damage, which you'll see when we get to the Synchros. The last Link monster is 2 copies of Seraphim Papillion. You don't really go into this one very much. I only have it really to fill in the extra deck space, so it's a full 15. This one is definitely going to get replaced when the new Battlewasp stuff in Rage of the Abyss comes out. I'll probably bump this down to 1, just in case. But right now we're running 2. And basically, it gains 200 attack for each counter. When it's summoned, you add a counter for each insect used as link material, and then you can remove a counter during your opponent's turn to special summon a level 4 or lower insect monster from your graveyard. So this is a good way to get the tuner back so you can get more searches. You know, just kind of a way to, again, just kind of keep those resources coming in. Next, moving on to the Synchros now. We have 3 copies of Battlewasp Azusa the Ghost Bow. And so basically, this one can help enable your OTKs, because it says when your opponent takes effect damage from another Battlewasp monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of that monster. And then you can also special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field if a monster is destroyed by battle with your Battlewasp monster. That includes if one of your Battlewasps get destroyed, because it says when a monster is destroyed by battle with a Battlewasp. So if your Battlewasp gets destroyed, you can summon this back. Alright, next is Halberd the Charge. This is the one that you mainly use in conjunction with Azusa to try to get the OTK. And this is what I did against Dark Magician when I inflicted the 7,800 damage turn 1. So basically, it does have a battle effect where during damage calculation, if this card is attacking an opponent's monster with equal or higher attack, you can cut that monster's attack in half. And then when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each Battlewasp monster you control. And so, like, let's just say we just have this and this on the field, right? So he attacks, he inflicts battle damage, his effect activates to deal 400 damage. Then Azusa's effect activates to inflict an additional 2,500 to your opponent. That's how that effect works. So this is just a way to get, again, massive battle and effect damage to try to OTK your opponent. That's the whole point of the deck. Next is 2 copies of Battlewasp Hama the Conquering Bow. So basically it's very generic, but if you use a Synchro monster as material, then it gets 2 attacks during the battle phase. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this one is also a Synchro tuner. So Azusa is a Synchro tuner, so that's kind of how that plays in. And so it has 2 effects. So when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, all your opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack and defense, which again just helps facilitate even more battle damage. Or at the end of the battle phase, if your opponent has not taken any battle damage during this battle phase, you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Battlewasp in your graveyard. So either way, this guy is designed to try to close out the game. During the game I actually OTK'd Dark Magician successfully, I had this plus the level 6. So that was fun. And finally, rounding out the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Battlewasp Ballista the Armageddon. So when this card is special summoned, you can banish all insect monsters from your graveyard, and then all of your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack and defense for each of your banished insects. It inflicts piercing, and then if the Synchro Summon card is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon 3 of your banished level 11 or lower insect monsters. So it allows you to get those resources back, because obviously a level 12 Synchro is a huge investment, but allows you to get 3 of those resources back. So the trade-off actually isn't that bad. But yeah, that's going to be it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. Honestly, this deck is actually a lot of fun. Like, just Battlewasps in and of themselves are very, very fun. And I'm very, very much looking forward to the new Battlewasp support in Rage of the Abyss. I was very pleasantly surprised when it got announced, but I am so excited. You guys have no idea how excited I am for that new support. So, whenever it gets time for the post-Rage of the Abyss special, then we'll definitely have to put this one on the poll. But yeah, that'll be for a later time. Like, subscribe, vote in the locals poll, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.